There is a quiet revolution happening right now, and it's not in hospitals, not in pharmacies, and not on the news. It's happening in the bodies of men and women over 60 who decided, at some point, to refuse the story the world was telling them. The story that said, "You're too old, slow down, accept the decline." These people didn't just slow the clock. Some of them seem to have reversed it. And the science behind what they can do is more fascinating, more empowering, and more accessible than you could ever imagine. Let's start with something deceptively simple. Can you stand on one leg, just one, for 10 full seconds without grabbing anything, without swaying uncontrollably, without your heart jumping into your throat? It sounds almost laughably easy, but researchers published a landmark study revealing that the inability to perform this single balance test in people over 60 was associated with nearly double the risk of dying from any cause within the next decade. Double. Not a small increase, not a marginal trend, double. And yet most people have never even thought to test themselves. Have you? Balance is not just about not falling. Balance is a window into the health of your nervous system, your inner ear, your muscular coordination, your brain's processing speed, and the integrity of your joints. When all of these systems are communicating properly, when your body is truly talking to itself, maintaining your balance becomes almost effortless. When they break down, even standing still becomes a negotiation with gravity. The remarkable thing is that balance can be trained, retrained, and dramatically improved at virtually any age. People in their 70s and 80s have rebuilt balance they lost decades ago. But here's the part that makes this story even more interesting. Balance is just the beginning. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it right now, because what comes next will shock you, and you're going to want to come back to this channel again and again. Think about what it means to get out of a chair, not just shuffling to the edge and using your arms to push yourself up, but actually rising smoothly with control from a seated position on the floor without using your hands at all. This movement, called the sitting rising test, was studied in a group of over 2,000 adults between the ages of 51 and 80. The results were extraordinary. People who scored the lowest on this test, those who needed the most help getting up, were 5 to 6 times more likely to die during the study's follow-up period than those who could do it with ease. 5 to 6 times. From something as simple as getting off the floor. What does this tell us? It tells us that the human body keeps a kind of silent ledger. Every time you move freely, every time your muscles fire properly, every time your joints bend without compensation, your body is making deposits into a biological savings account. And every year of inactivity, stiffness, and avoidance is a withdrawal. People who are over 60 and can still perform functional movements, sit down and get up off the floor, squat without pain, carry heavy objects, walk briskly for 30 minutes, aren't just fit. They are physiologically younger than their age suggests. Their cells behave differently. Their telomeres, the protective caps on DNA that shorten with age, tend to be longer. Their inflammatory markers are lower. They sleep better, think more clearly, and statistically live longer. Now here is where it gets truly fascinating. The brain. Most people assume that cognitive decline is simply an inevitable feature of aging, that somewhere in your 60s, your memory starts slipping, your processing slows, and that's just the deal you accepted when you decided to live long enough. But that assumption is being dismantled, study by study, year by year. Scientists have discovered something called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to forge new connections, to rewire itself, to literally grow in response to challenge and stimulation. And here's the kicker. This ability does not disappear at 60. It doesn't switch off at 70. People who stay physically active, mentally engaged, and socially connected are growing new neural pathways well into their 80s and beyond. The hippocampus, the part of your brain most associated with memory and learning, actually increases in volume in older adults who engage in regular aerobic exercise. Increases at 65, at 72, at 78. This is not mythology. This is peer-reviewed neuroscience. which means that a 68-year-old who takes a brisk walk every morning, learns a new language, plays chess, dances, or picks up a musical instrument is not just passing the time. They are physically reshaping their brain. They are building cognitive reserve, which is essentially your brain's insurance policy against dementia. And the people who build the most of it? They can sometimes carry the biological signs of Alzheimer's disease in their brains without ever experiencing the symptoms. Their reserve is so strong it compensates. Think about that for a moment. If you're feeling something shift as you read this, share this with someone over 60 in your life who needs to hear it. You might be giving them something more valuable than you know. But let's talk about strength, because this might be the most underrated secret of healthy aging. After the age of 30, the average person loses roughly 3 to 5% of their muscle mass per decade. By 60, if nothing has been done to combat it, that loss has compounded dramatically. This condition, called sarcopenia, is not just about looking smaller or feeling weaker. It is directly linked to falls, fractures, metabolic disease, insulin resistance, and mortality. The loss of muscle is, in a very real sense, the loss of life expectancy. But here's what almost nobody tells you: muscle can be rebuilt at any age. Resistance training, lifting weights, using resistance bands, doing bodyweight exercises, triggers a cascade of anabolic signals in the body that builds new muscle tissue regardless of age. A 70-year-old who begins a resistance training program will see measurable increases in muscle mass and strength within weeks. Not months, weeks. The body is waiting for the signal. It has been waiting all along, and the men and women over 60 who can carry their own groceries, who can lift their grandchildren, who can move furniture, climb stairs without gripping the railing, these people are not just lucky. They gave their body the signal, repeatedly, consistently, over time. Grip strength, of all things, has emerged as one of the most reliable biomarkers of overall health and longevity in older adults. Researchers at the University of Michigan analyzed data from over 5,000 adults and found that grip strength was a more powerful predictor of cardiovascular disease, stroke, and all-cause mortality than blood pressure. Your hands, the strength with which you squeeze, is a proxy for the health of your entire musculoskeletal system. If you can open a jar without help, if your handshake is firm, if you can hang from a bar for more than a few seconds, your body is telling you something important. It's telling you that you still have enormous reserves. And then there's flexibility and mobility, the forgotten pillars, the ability to touch your toes, to rotate your spine without pain, to reach overhead with both arms fully extended, to kneel, to lunge, to look over your shoulder while reversing your car. These movements seem small until you can no longer do them, and then suddenly the world shrinks. The chair becomes a prison, the car becomes an obstacle, the floor becomes the enemy. But here too the science is unambiguous. Flexibility lost can be regained. The tissues respond, the fascia softens, the joints reclaim their range. It takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes the willingness to start. But it starts. What ties all of this together, the balance, the strength, the brain, the flexibility, is one underlying principle that every longevity researcher seems to arrive at independently. The body is not designed to decline. It is designed to adapt. Decline happens when we stop giving it reasons to adapt. The human body spent hundreds of thousands of years being asked to climb, carry, sprint, recover, and endure. It is exquisitely designed for challenge. When challenge disappears, when we sit for 10 hours a day, when we stop lifting anything heavier than a remote control, when we avoid anything that makes us breathe hard, the body begins to reclaim its resources. It downgrades itself. It prepares for a kind of metabolic hibernation that was never meant to last decades. The people over 60 who can still do these things, who can balance, bend, lift, walk fast, think sharply, sleep deeply, are not anomalies. They are previews. They are showing the rest of us what is possible when you refuse to accept the downgrade. And the breathtaking thing is that it is never too late. Not at 62, not at 71, not at 79. The science says so, the stories say so, and somewhere inside you, if you've made it this far in this description, a part of you already knows it too. Don't just watch this video, use it, share it with someone who needs to hear that their best years don't have to be behind them. Leave a comment below telling us one thing you can still do that makes you feel proud of your body. And subscribe, because every single week we're bringing you the science, the stories, and the strategies that can add not just years to your life, but life to your years. The clock is ticking, but it doesn't have to be counting down. It can be counting up, starting right now.